Hello and welcome to the Investing Bros. I am T Shroom, and we're going to be getting it this morning. We got some bullish patterns on the screen. You have probably already guessed what that is, and if you're an experienced trader yourself, you may have identified it earlier this morning and maybe even yesterday. But we have to go ahead and celebrate with the bros because yesterday we reached 16,000 subscribers. That's right, 16,001. Actually, now it's like 16,000.7, I think, 0.07. So anyway, very, very appreciative. And I wanted to read some of the folks who have posted and shared this appreciation. We got Gia S, of course, saying congrats, guys. Alquimista said, I want to see their 250,000 like Bitcoin. Loving it. Loving it. We got great job, bros, from Alex O. Sin City said, congrats, fellas, well deserved. Going to go ahead and like these as well. If I didn't like it, it's just because I was late at night last night when I was reviewing this. Congrats, bros, from Lunar Beaches Crypto. Yoon said, congrats to your team. And Crypto Obrizi said, congrats, fellas. So lots of love going around this morning. I am grateful for all of the bros, and I am also grateful for caffeinated beverages, of which I have some coursing through my very body this morning. Tell me what you're grateful for. We've done this. This will be the third day in a row now. It is Wednesday. It's actually Wednesday. I apologize yesterday for leading everybody to think that it was Wednesday. It is actually Wednesday today. And it'll be the third day in a row that we all go through and say two things that we're grateful for, whether it be in the live chat or in the comments. I've been loving what I've been seeing. You guys post there. It's amazing. Well, we're going to be hearing very bullish news from some TradFi adoption and then some not so bullish news, but we're not really sure what to make of it quite yet. An update coming from James Seyfert yesterday about Grayscale withdrawing an ETF. So we're going to take a look at that and then hear about some updates as well from some other blockchains and some other leaders in the crypto space. But go ahead and smash that like button and hit subscribe if you are getting some value out of this video so far. Right now, it has been a huge pleasure already to bring it to you. You guys got to see the outstanding support that we got for reaching 16,000. I would also like to see some more outstanding things, which is a much lower tax bill when it comes to going ahead and investing in crypto. And you can achieve a much lower tax bill by going with who we trust, which is iTrust Capital. You can go ahead and set up your tax advantage IRA with crypto today by clicking the links in the description for iTrust Capital. And guess what, bros? You get a free $100 towards what could be your very first purchase of crypto. Either way, you get that free $100 for signing up for iTrust Capital and funding your account. So let's go ahead and jump on into the charts here. We've heard from our sponsor for the stream, making it possible. Bros, what is this pattern right here? For those who have been trading or investing for a little while, you probably have already identified it and have been trading accordingly. However, I'm going to go ahead and draw it out for you, and then I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit more insight on it as well. This is what could be described as an inverse head and shoulders. Let's take a look at the textbook example of this. You've got the shoulder, the first shoulder, the left one. And you've got the head that comes down lower, importantly lower than the left and right shoulder. And then you have the right shoulder, right? And then you have usually a retest of the neckline, and then a movement higher to a price target. Now, let's take a look at what that price target might be for Bitcoin. And I'm on the Kraken charts here for those of you keeping score at home. So you've probably already done this yourself as well. But again, if you're new, you may not have done this yet. So I'm going to go from the wick to the neckline, which I would say is right around here at 64,000. Of course, where you draw the neckline is going to be important. I'm going to draw it right around here at 64,000, kind of settling on these closes here and just below this wick here. Where you draw the neckline can vary a little bit here. But according to the textbook, you want to draw it right about at the highs of the shoulders, the shoulder shrug, where the shoulders come back and meet the neck, so to speak, that neck line. And then you would take this line that you've drawn, and you would just put it over here where it would break out of the neckline. I mean, you could put it here, you could put it here. It kind of doesn't matter because you're going to get the same price outcome of all the way back up to 72.6. So that would be the breakout for this inverse head and shoulders. Now you might be getting a slightly different number, and that has a lot to do with maybe you put your neckline all the way up to this wick, right? That would give the price prediction somewhere closer to 73.6, right? So you can, it kind of depends where you draw your neckline, but for the most part, this is going to be bullish no matter what way you look at it, at least from exclusively the inverse head and shoulders standpoint. But that's not all we're going to do. Let's go back over to the Coinbase exchange and take a look here at the last couple of trading hours. I'm on the 4-hour chart here, and as you can see, we broke bearish. We broke down out of what was close to a symmetrical triangle here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kill the bottom line of this because we broke out of it. And now we're in a bit of a descending wedge here. Another descending wedge, albeit a much smaller one, and we're already looking like we're breaking back through it. Now, this is an important downtrending line of what is now support, and I still call it support because we haven't closed through it. The current candle we're in is definitely giving this line a run for its money, which isn't great. But more than likely, we're going to be able to still hold up and keep intact this inverse head and shoulders pattern, which should be bullish for at least the rest of the day, if not going into Thursday. So, descending wedge pattern, bullish, but we're already breaking lower. That live candle could easily come back in, and then we break higher. But ultimately, let's turn on the Bollinger Bands as well, and we'll take a look at Lux Algo. Indeed, and the Bollinger Bands are really just providing the resistance level here. That was the upper limit for these candlesticks here, these 4 candlesticks that all rejected right around 63.7, not allowing a new higher high to come in from this high back here of candlestick close 64.5. So we're getting lower highs here and consistently lower lows, which isn't really what you want to see on the charts. But again, we do have this inverse head and shoulders in play, which can be very bullish. But you do need to have this, the supply of the law of supply and demand still is playing a role here, right? You still have to have more demand than there is supply, and we've seen again and again that happens, right? But right now, we are getting more supply than there is demand, or at least the same amount of demand, and more sell orders coming onto the order books on Coinbase and across all exchanges. So don't read too much into that. That's what happens day in and day out. That's what the mechanics of what makes price go up and down. So let's go ahead and turn off the Bollinger Bands and take a look at what Lux Algo is rocking out at. We're still on the 4-hour. We'll go up a couple of time frames here before it's all said and done here on Bitcoin, before we rotate over to the chat and then get into some news. Over here on Lux Algo, I do not have my equilibrium zones turned on, so let's go ahead and skip that one for right now. We'll come back to it. But here on the signals and overlays, you can see that we've just ticked back into this zone here, this cloud, that really, you could see that this is a significant cloud because Bitcoin just rammed right through it back here on early May 3rd, just ran right through it, brought a little bit back. Let me zoom in more so you can see it. Rammed right through this cloud, found a little bit of support here, and then was able to move higher. Came back, tested it, found support, tried to make a move higher, got a lower high, unfortunately, and now we're going right back where we came from. However, we're likely to put in a higher low here, and that's what we're hoping for, to put in a higher low, and hopefully that doesn't even close below this downtrending line of support. But I think this could be bullish. I think this could be a pretty bullish setup. We're still under a buy signal here from Lux Algo, which is really nice to see. Ever since we broke back up through this downtrending line of pretty strong support that was obeyed multiple times, once, twice, and the last 2 times that Lux Algo called this, this would have been a great time to go ahead and buy in all 3 times that we were at these levels. So until we get a sell rating, that'll be something to consider for sure from Lux Algo. But right now, everything is looking good. We got Archie in the chat. What is up, Archie? Saying, how's it going, bros? Well, it's going well. As Sativio Shimoto just pointed out, we are happy at 16K, guys. We just got up to that big landmark there. But right now, we're hoping for a bit of a higher low here. Whoop. I don't think we deserve that one after that false sound effect that we played there, but we're having fun. All right, well, that's the charts for Bitcoin. Right now, there's a lot of argumentation for going up and also going down. There's a lot of bearishness. There's also a lot of bullishness. But right now, if we zoom out, we turn off all the indicators, you really do see this head and shoulders of the inverse variety, right? Which should be pretty bullish if we can get a breakout to that. It come out and bring us back up to 62, 63,000, depending how you draw that neckline. Now let's zoom back out. Let's go to the one-day charts. And these candlesticks are representing 1 day, 24 hours of trading data rather than just 4 hours of trading data per candle. So what does that mean? It means it's more of a summary of what the market has been doing. So let's take a look at it. Well, unfortunately, it's been putting in consistently lower highs and lower lows, resulting in kind of a downtrending overall pattern. Right now, we have made attempt here to break out bullish, and we have broken out. And because we haven't gotten any even daily candles printing below this level, we still are bullish, and we still are expecting a breakout to the upside after all the motion in here. Whoop, that's not my pen. After all the price action in here, right, and then a false breakout to the downside, and then a nice textbook retest, we should see a breakout to the upside. That is the expectation here, moving into mid-May, right? But we're not getting that breakout yet, and we're not exactly sure why. Let's go. So we have to turn to the news to see what is going on. We're going to do that here. The midline of the Bollinger Band playing less of a role here, I would say, on the daily chart as it did back here for this rejection level. Right now, we've gotten candlesticks closing above and below, so the midline of the Bollinger Band, that 20-day moving average, not as important as it was during this play back here. So let's go ahead and jump into the chat here, and then we'll go into the news. Drew XRP said, after much deliberation, I decided anyone shilling a token smaller than a top 20 needs a $10 super chat or higher. Write that down. Yes, we had some craziness yesterday. People donating almost $100 to promote a coin that they feel strongly about for one reason or another. But we'll have to come up with something. I think it wasn't that disruptive, in my opinion, but because you can always just ignore it. But we'll see. Loki Singularity said, hit the likes. Absolutely. Smash those likes, bros. Go ahead and give those likes a smash if you're enjoying your time here. Of course, Crypto Archie jumping in, saying what's up. I don't know what the heck time it is in Dubai. I don't know. I don't even know if that's where you are right now, Archie, but it's good to have you popping in. Alex O said, all is good. Dropping a heart emoji as well. The OG heart emoji. Crux of Crypto said, hope everyone's morning is starting well. That's good. A lot of positivity in the chat this morning. You'll love to see it. Drew XRP said, NFA, not financial advice, but they'll probably rise just as much as Ondo, and then you won't be out the loss. So someone must have said something about a coin. Okay, yeah, Mike Gravy said, I'm at a 25% loss on Stacks and Flare. Should I sell it for Ondo? The classic question, should I sell at a loss to rotate into what I think is a more bullish coin? I'm a big proponent of being convicted in the investments you have. Don't buy and sell based on alternative opportunities to use your liquidity, in my opinion, right? And you do whatever you want ultimately. But this is the way that I like to think about it, is I like to use my income as my main engine for new allocations. I only really want to take profit. I don't want to sell for a loss, right? I want to buy low, I want to sell high. And I don't know as much about Flare, but with Stacks, I have as much conviction as I had a month ago, right? Stacks for me is a BRC20 play, that whole narrative, and it's good. I think that my conviction is strong in it. Ondo is something I also have conviction in. I think I have about the same amount allocated to both of those projects, right? So Mike Gravy asking a pretty good question here. It's a proverbial investor's question, and my answer is don't trade based on alternative opportunities. Trade based on conviction. And if you have high conviction in Flare and Stacks, then stay invested and use your income, new income, to invest in Ondo and diversify. Now, if you're newer to crypto and you haven't even invested in Bitcoin, or you're only invested in Bitcoin and not Ethereum, don't think that it's easy to come to the conclusion that you should buy Stacks, Ondo, or Flare. In fact, if you're just buying Bitcoin for the first time in the last month, I'm a big proponent of getting it on a cold storage, and we partner with Arculus, right? We have a link for it in the description. But also just hit pause on your appetite for altcoins. If you're thinking, ooh, I'm going to go buy Cardano, or I'm going to go buy Chainlink, or Ondo, or Stacks, or whatever it's going to be, just take a chill pill, really understand what blockchain is. I'm not saying don't buy altcoins eventually, but what I'm saying is you're probably a little too new to even knowing how to buy those altcoins. And we have a lot of resources in the description of this video that can give you access to exchanges where you can safely buy a lot of these types of altcoins. But there's a jungle out there, bros. We are in the Wild West of a brand new growing industry, right? So there's all kinds of scams, there's all kinds of pitfalls that you can fall victim to. But overall, once you're up and running and you feel confident in how to invest in crypto, which is what we strive to do here, there's tons of resources in the Investing Bros community for you to do just that. Then you can start to explore altcoins and eventually ask these types of questions as should you rotate out of certain altcoins and into others. And generally my answer is unless your conviction has changed. So unless something has changed about your conviction in a project, you shouldn't. You should not divest and invest in an alternative, right? And there's all kinds of ways that you can answer that differently. You could say, well, keep the majority of your position, so only sell 25% of your position in, say, Stacks and rotate into Ondo. You could do something like that and still maintain the core of the principle of sticking to your convictions. A lot of ways to skin the cat. B-Ball Golf 72 said, tiny shoulders, untrained eye, but looks like just a head to me. Let's see what else we got. That's a Billy Madison cursive Z pattern. Nice. God, country, and family. Amen. And then we got Army Piper jumping in saying, good morning, T-Shroom. Good morning to you, Army Piper. It is good to have so many good bros here in the chat. Dave D said, GM, my coffee and morning stream of the Investing Bros. Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into the news here. Oh, we got one more. Fade and TradFi said, Stacks is solid, Ondo is solid. I agree with T-Shroom. If TA can't get new income into Ondo is what I currently am doing. Okay. Very good. Yeah, I mean, that's generally my thesis on diversifying into altcoins, diversifying even into stocks. Right now, I'm buying a decent amount of Tesla. I like where Tesla's at. I like the way that they're able to communicate to the market that they're pivoting into being an AI and robotics company. I like that thesis. You may not. That's fine. Invest however you want, right? You want to stay in crypto, stay in crypto. But ultimately, if you are convicted in something, stay convicted. Until that conviction changes, you don't need your investments to change, right? But I understand where you're coming from with wanting to invest in Ondo. Ondo is a very solid project and has an association, has a partnership, growing partnership with BlackRock, which is a major mover in the TradFi space in crypto these days. All right, let's go ahead. I've said it like 5 times. We're going to jump into the news here. Asset manager Susquehanna has $1.8 billion locked in Bitcoin ETFs. Yes, they've bought the IBIT and the GBTC. According to their May 7th 13F filing submitted to the Securities and Exchange Commission, those investments total $1.8 billion. So very bullish for TradFi adoption we're likely to only see more of this as earnings season continues for the stock market and they report just what is on their balance sheet. Let's move on, though, onto a bit of a darker note here. James Seyffert tweeting out yesterday, update, this is interesting, Grayscale has withdrawn their 19B4 filing for the Ethereum futures ETF. This was essentially a Trojan horse filing, in my view, in order to create the same circumstances that allowed Grayscale to win the GBTC lawsuit. Approval, futures, deny spot. Approve, futures, deny spot. So this is, there's a decent amount of layered complexity to this. I don't think I'm going to try to break it down too much on the 9 a.m. stream. I'm going to talk with a lot of my constituents, with a lot of the bros, before I come down too hard on a conclusion on this. But we'll absolutely be covering this on the 3 p.m. stream with Caleb Franson today, because it is Wednesday. It is Caleb Franson Wednesday. That is not fake news. It is really Wednesday, guys. All right, but here's the official Wells notice, or not Wells notice, goodness. Here's the official notice of withdrawal of a proposed rule change to list the trade shares of Grayscale Ethereum Futures Trust under the New York Stock Exchange ACRA Rule A.2E. And it is a futures ETF for Ethereum. James Seyffert said, IDK, I don't know why they do this, honestly. In my mind, might as well make the SEC write up an approval or denial for the ETF futures for Ethereum and go from there. Maybe the SEC spoke with Grayscale about this, and whatever was said convinced Grayscale to withdraw. It's a complete guess. Or maybe they spoke to another party, like BlackRock, or like a competitor like BlackRock or Fidelity, or they spoke to, some lawyer who had a exotic new take on how all of this is going to shake out. If you don't want to upset the SEC, withdrawing and refiling is less work for the SEC, but at the same time, it means there's no way for Grayscale or anyone to sue now. So that is a bit of a chilling statement there, because this lawsuit against the SEC for denying an Ethereum futures ETF is going to be the first step to also being able to sue based on the rejection of a spot ETF. And now you're starting to see that there are a lot of layers to this. And so I don't want to just jump in and give a super hard and fast opinion on this. But what I will say is that this is definitely complicating things. So Eric Bulkanis did chime in. He said, sounds like saying this is a good sign they're not going to pursue a lawsuit this time around, because that's long been his theory for Eric. So it's interesting. Your ad here gave a little bit of insight. He said, this is hard to read. So 2 options. And I don't necessarily endorse this analysis here from your ad here, but I did find it interesting. They know the ETF will be approved and don't need the legal path. That would be the most bullish option here. Or 2, they know this and the ETF are going to get denied, so they're trying to protect the market from a double nuke. So, interesting. Lots of interesting takes here. It is a pretty big move, and this is the biggest news in crypto right now, that Grayscale would withdraw their Ethereum futures ETF application. All right, moving along, we'll go ahead and get into some bullish news here. Oh, Jim Cramer has gone ahead and jumped into the comments here. Jim Cramer said, bros, any thoughts on how BTC will get impacted when brokers can offer their retail clients a lot? Currently, my broker can't offer ETFs to me unless my net worth is over 10 million. My broker is UBS. My understanding is people think retail brokers are offering to everyone. Well, I mean, the short answer is price will go up, right? Because there'll be more demand. It's not going to be 100% of the folks who have a sub $10 million investment portfolio that go ahead and FOMO into Bitcoin, right? But it's not going to be 0% either. So there'll be fresh demand. There'll be new demand coming in from that investment tranche. And yes, I believe we have not yet crossed the threshold where those fiduciaries working at banks like UBS and Morgan Stanley can go ahead and say, hey, client, you should invest in IBIT, or GBTC, right? I do not think that we're there yet from a legal standpoint. Or we're there from a legal standpoint, but I don't think that those banks have made a decision to go ahead and start doing that, meaning recommending these assets for their portfolio allocation for folks who have less than 10 million. All right. Was it 10 million or 10 million? Well, thank you, Jim Cramer, for jumping in. Of course, Jim Cramer, it's very unlikely that this is the real Jim Cramer, but said, my understanding is people think retail brokers are offering to everyone, and that's not the case. Perhaps eventually they will. Kyle Fields has a take on the ETF story. Would make sense. The interest in ETH aligns more with investors who understand the value of holding it directly, contrasting again Bitcoin ETF investors who likely don't understand it at its core. Interesting. Yes. I mean, there is this aspect of you can't really stake Bitcoin. It doesn't spin off an ongoing revenue stream like Ethereum is with the staking, right? With the proof of stake. So perhaps that's why Grayscale's backing out, saying, that this doesn't make sense. It's not going to get a lot of demand. Why would I hold an ETF that is for Ethereum when I could just buy Ethereum and stake it, right? So you do lose out on a major aspect of Ethereum of why people buy it, because it has an ongoing issue. Crypto Archie saying real Jim Cramer. Is this? There's no way it's the real Jim Cramer. Archie, are you just messing with me? I love it. Kyle Field said, would make crypto look less attractive. Interesting. All right, let's keep moving here, guys. Polkadot asynchronous backing, an optimized approach for how parachain blocks are validated by Relay Chain has been enabled by Polkadot. So this is going to enable blocks are produced 2 times faster, 3 to 5x more intrinsic per block, 6 to 10x boosts in available block space, and higher utilization of parachain blocks. So asynchronous backing is now live on Polkadot. And Polkadot is one of those coins that's always in the top 5 from, I can't remember the organization that puts out the list, but it's in development. It's always behind Cardano, but it's usually in the top 5 of the most developed chains, meaning they have the most commits by programmers who are working on making Polkadot better and stronger. So very interesting there from Polkadot, getting the asynchronous backing going. Now, speaking of backing, Gary Gensler is very quickly losing backing from those who have the power to fire him eventually. Tom Emmer said, Chairman Gary Gensler's tenure at the SEC has been characterized by regulatory hypocrisy, inconsistency, and incompetency. Now, I would say he's been consistently incompetent, but considering yesterday I didn't know what day it is, that may make me a bit of a hypocrite. So we're having fun here on the Investing Bros. If you are having fun as well, make sure that you go ahead and smash the like button and consider subscribing. It really, really means a lot. Of course, we just hit 16,000 subs on here on YouTube, and so we're super excited for you all to join us on this adventure as we continue to grow and have fun. We stream every day at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we love, as you just saw here on this very stream, we love to have fun. So Dave Weisenberg jumping in here, he said, I disagree. The SEC has been remarkably consistent in its prioritization of its own power and agenda over prosecuting investors. It has over protecting investors. It has consistently obfuscated rules while consistently refusing to acknowledge how these rules are deficient for digital asset issuers or markets. Now, everybody also was kind of yelling at Tom Emmer saying, hey, when will you do something? But the reality is that there's not a whole lot that Congress can do right now, because it really comes down to the fact that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is not controlled by the Republicans. right? And it seems that the Republican constituency is the one that wants to go ahead and remove Gary, or is at least the most critical of Gary Gensler, the SEC leader. So we will see. I have technically I have a bet with Tim that Gary Gensler will not be there in late May to vote on the Ethereum spot ETF. But it's looking less and less like I'm going to be enjoying that stake. Japanese crypto exchange CoinChex, which I almost saw this as CoinCheeks.
Nice.
Which would have been a little crazy. CoinChex sees NASDAQ listing completion in second, third quarter. So this is kind of interesting. This isn't going to be a really big deal for you unless you are a Japanese investor and you already hold a bit of CoinChex. There's going to be, more liquidity, more demand available for this company. But this is potentially a pretty big move, kind of be like another Coinbase coming in. I'm sure it's a fraction of the size, right? But this is generally a good move for adoption and for TradFi. Reddit shares soar 11% after company reports revenue pop in debut earnings report. So, of course, Reddit recently IPOing, and now they're doing well. So if you invested in Reddit, you're more than likely in a profit right now. Might not be the worst time to get out. Of course, not financial advice, but I don't know. Something tells me that Reddit over the long term is not going to be making a ton of money. I could be wrong about that. I've not done very much research. But, yes, just my little hip pocket analysis of Reddit there. Might be a good time to set sail. All right. U.S. probe finds widespread sexual harassment, sexual misconduct at the FDIC? What? Yeah. This looks kind of crazy. Not going to get into this too much. But I think it's actually the same. So Patrick McHenry, a Republican who chairs the House Financial Services Committee, called for Gruenberg's resignation following the report, said it made clear the agency needs new leadership. The FDIC needs to be fixed. The women and men who work there deserve better. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out and not get down into the details of this story, but what is important is we may be seeing some changes over at the FDIC as a result of this headline, as a result of a report that has come out that has found widespread sexual misconduct, right? So that's not what you want to see from your government agency, obviously, but the more important thing is that this could potentially be bringing in some changes to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation that could have implications for valuations of banks, right? Because now this doesn't mean they're going to go down in value, but it may mean that there's going to be some uncertainty of what's going to happen next over at the FDIC. And there could be no structural changes. It could all be human resources level changes, but we shall see. Let me put it like this. You don't turn over a log unless you want to find yuckies, unless you want to find, worms and roaches and bugs. And I think there might be a reason why they chose to turn over the log now over at the FDIC. All right, leave it there. We will leave it there for that one. Bros, it has been a real pleasure to bring you all the information today. We got into the news. There's a little bit for the bulls, a little bit for the bears. But we do have this inverse head and shoulders on Bitcoin. Let's check in on it right before we leave here. Bitcoin rocking in at 61,800. So coming back down, getting even below $62,000 per coin. We will be continuing to monitor the price, obviously, and seeing how we do. We want to make sure that we don't close below this downtrending line of support, as that would break structure with what should be a pretty bullish breakout. Anytime now, right? So it's a good time to strengthen your diamond hands and keep on hodling. And if you're trading, keep those stop losses tight. And if you're human, please stay hydrated. We'll see you at 3 p.m. Caleb Franzen Wednesdays, baby. Let's get it.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA, shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms News got the word, doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence, soon fly coop with his dividend. Tryna make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.
Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.